Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Justin and Jay here again. This is part 2 of our LED application series. Today we're talking all about industrial facilities and LED retrofits. Jay, how's it going?
Good, Justin.
Welcome back.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again too. All right, so industrial facilities, warehouses, LED retrofits. So again, where do you start when you're assessing a project? Where do you even begin with an LED retrofit?
All right, let's talk about this. So industrials, if you watched our previous segment, a little bit different than a classroom. Still similar to identifying the overall objectives. So most of the time for industrials, they want to increase illumination or at least match what they currently have. So again, back to understanding what your overall objective is: increased illumination, decreased maintenance. Those are the types of things that you really need to consider, especially when you're looking at industrials. Most of the time, the driving factor is going to be reduced maintenance. Maintenance facilities or industrial facilities have a lot of operations going for most of the time. So you need to identify, what goals you're trying to achieve. Usually safety drives some of that as well too. So if you're going to increase the illumination in some of the areas that may have been dark previously, those are the types of things to consider.
Typical fixtures that you would normally see. Like I think about like those big hanging high bay lights. Is that what you would normally see in those?
Yeah. So traditional high bays, which is HID or high intensity discharge lighting, you're going to see a lot of those round cylindrical looks. Yeah. We did go through a big phase here, especially in Manitoba, of T5 high output lamps, which is a smaller lamp with lots of high output. That's a linear option, so a 4-foot. Those are typically what you're going to see. You're going to see a variety of other surface and suspended mount fixtures, whether it be a vapor-proof fixture, there might be some surface mount wraps, those types of things in some of the office spaces. But primarily in a heavy industrial area, you're going to have some code requirements possibly, or maybe some requirement for a wash down fixture, types of fixtures that you normally wouldn't see in a classroom or in an office setting. They're much different fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely. Then when you're working on the project, how do you select the right one, the right LED replacement fixture for that setting? Like, how do you go about assessing that?
Yeah. So again, back to identifying and being thorough with your initial assessment. Contractors going in, it's going to take some time, but you're going to have to find a way to get up and find out what type of fixture that is. If it's a 400 watt metal halide, you want to make sure that you're at least matching the lumen output of that fixture so that you're not decreasing anything. There's lots of different things to consider when it comes to optics and the available light from LED technology. It's a different type of light source, so you got to be cognitive of what types of fixtures you're selecting. So if you're going from a cylindrical style, maybe you want to keep consistent and have that cylindrical style. But if you wanted more distribution and a wider distribution, maybe you want to increase to a linear style fixture so that it's going to increase that spread of light overall.
Okay, that makes sense. So what kind of limitations would you run into? I know we talked about a few in the classroom office setting, but what would you see in the industrial facility setting?
Right. So limitations would include certifications, whether it's a wet location, maybe it's some kind of hazardous location. Those are things to consider as well. When we're talking about restrictions with hanging, mounting, those types of things come into play more often than we think. If you went from a cylindrical style, traditional high bay looking to a linear style high bay, you're going to have to change the mounting hardware, whether moving chains or maybe some adjustments in the fixture and the spacing and whatnot. Simple things like that you might want to consider as a contractor identifying the existing system.
Excellent. We talked about energy savings last time as well. Can an industrial setting still see the same energy savings from an LED transition?
Yeah. The savings in an industrial setting are going to be a lot more than you would see in a classroom or an office setting. Industrials typically run 24/7, 365. So you're burning a lot more energy. Like I said, there's typically high intensity discharge lighting, which is not the best form of lighting. It was obviously at its time, but now with the advent of LED technology, we can reduce significant amount of power load, which, is therefore translated into, saved money, reduced maintenance, those types of things.
Excellent. Rebate programs. Can these types of settings still apply for these rebate programs that exist in different provinces?
Yeah. So again, just touching base on the rebate programs, they are different and they vary from province to province. However, usually they have a really good incentive for an industrial facility to decrease their power. Utilities want, like, majority of what they're burning is energy. They want to reduce that load, especially because, it's going to help reduce costs as well too. But yeah, you would definitely be eligible, especially here in Manitoba, with some great incentive. Rebate programs drive a lot of the sales that we do. They're able to help kind of relieve some of the burden of that initial cost of LED. And it makes sense. The utilities want you to use the latest and greatest technology to reduce that load and to be greener. So we're on board with that. And, it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, the greener initiative from a warehouse standpoint always looks good, right? It's where the world's moving. It just makes sense.
Yeah, and just to touch back on that as well, you have the ability to control these fixtures. So occupancy sensors, all types of networking systems are available for fixtures where maybe they're not occupied very often. You can turn those lights off or dim them down to 50%, 10%, all kinds of great stuff that help you kind of reduce the energy load.
I've seen some of that. That technology is incredible. Yeah, where you can just set that timer where it's motion sense or occupancy size. Like, I love that. I even think about like superstores, grocery stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You walk through the aisles and the freezers kind of come on.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
they turn off as you leave.
Right?
Yeah, it just makes sense.
So utilizing that technology to its maximum, sensor technologies come a long way. And yeah, it's really something that should be implemented for sure in an industrial.
Excellent. How can a lighting assessment help contractor in this setting?
Yeah, so contractor would value a lighting assessment, especially because of the fixture counts. Usually they're really high in a big factory or an industrial setting. So you can do a full analysis, a walkthrough, a very detailed, structured report of what the existing load looks like versus what the proposed system would look like. So it helps give the CEOs and all the board members a nice warm fuzzy feeling when you can get that payback into a place where they're comfortable with it, and it shows, it ultimately shows you whether the project is a viable project to move forward, or maybe do it in a different section, kind of a thing. So highly recommend a lighting assessment when possible.
Perfect. Well, let's keep it short and sweet. I think that's a good place to wrap.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining me again today, Jay.
Anytime, Justin. Love
Perfect. And if anyone listening to this has any other questions, please reach out to your Robinson Supply sales rep, your local branch, or Jay, or shoot us a message on social media. Thanks, everyone. See you later.